generally a bad idea. People still do it. I'll have a screenshot on the next slide. Google does it. JavaScript does it. And probably a whole bunch of other things. And so most of these regex parsers are written in C, and they're really not written for untrusted input. And they have like a whole bunch of nasty issues. I mean, memory corruptions, like all of it. It's really, really ugly. And then, of course, sort of these regular expressions, some of them have features, right? And so Perl's regular expressions have features, for example, where you can embed Perl code in a regular expression. Thank God the Perl developers actually realized this, and they said, well, we know someone is going to use regular expressions as input on their web app while they shouldn't. So what we'll do is we'll turn it off by default for non-constant data. And if you want it, you use this re-eval thing. And then you would think that everybody can at least read a man page like that and, be really careful when they use this re-eval, and that, you would never see these kind of bugs in web applications. So what I did is, I went on SourceForge and downloaded some of these web applications, and it turns out that people apparently don't read documentation because they use re-eval and they take an untrusted regular expression as input, and lo and behold, you get remote Perl code execution. PHP is just as bad. So PHP has two APIs for regular expressions. They have ereg, which is the POSIX regular expressions, and they pass them on to a C API, which does all sorts of ugly things. And then they have preg, and these are the Perl-compatible regular expressions, which they use this they use a PCRE library, which incidentally is written by the same guy that made Exim, so you know it's secure, right? But they're supposed to be compatible with the regular expression that Perl uses. And so this preg replace one that Perl uses, right, is sort of a nice one because it has this /e thing, and that means evaluate. And what this means is if something matches in the /e, it gets used as an argument as part of the second argument passed to preg replace, but it doesn't get escaped. So this means or usually doesn't. So what this means is if you're too liberal in your matching, then whatever you're matching against might be PHP code, and it'll get executed. I didn't make PHP, obviously. I think this is awful, but a lot of people seem to like this because a lot of people use this thing, and a lot of people are vulnerable to this stuff. So this is really, really awful. Right, so this is Google taking a regular expression for me. This is just a really long string of like asterisk, dot, and something else. And it tells me, we hit an unexpected error while processing your request. If this keeps happening, please report it. Now I suspect what happens is something blew up on their end, and they're screaming fire and saying, don't ever do this stuff again. But of course I don't really know, because that would be illegal, right? So yeah, this is a prime example of why you shouldn't take regular expressions as input. But hey, who would ever look at this code search thing, right? Seems I'm sort of running out of time. So I'm going to skip this because it's not really that important. Let's see. Right, so I'm going to do a tool release. I wrote a Unix ioctl fuzzer, and for example, I used this fuzzer to find the OpenBSD bug that I demoed earlier. It works in NetBSD, FreeBSD, and Linux too. It's fairly easy to port to a new Unix. Usually takes about an hour or so. The thing is, like, the way these ancient Unixes and most of the BSDs form Unix ioctl codes is really nasty, and it takes some poking around and some tweaking to get that to work well with the fuzzer. Linux was like a walk through the park because they don't have all these ugly ways to form ioctl codes. It's just a big array of numbers. So it's fairly easy to add new Unixes. It takes more or less an hour to add these things. You can download it from this link. I said in about an hour. It'll probably be in about a day because the guy who has to upload this thing, the Digital Dwarf, is here, but he left his SSH keys at home, so he can't really upload it right now. So check it out tomorrow. It'll probably be there. Right. When you compile it, there will be warnings. Ignore them. They might be important, but the fuzzer still works even if you get to warnings. You know, because I'm really not such a good programmer, and I was a bit short on time to actually get this thing to work simultaneously on all different operating systems. So you'll get warnings, but it's okay. You can ignore them. Right. Let's see. I don't want to do this. Right. So that was about my entire talk. I didn't do all of the stuff on my own. I had help from a whole bunch of people. Specifically, I want to talk about BitShifted, because she made my slides, because I could never make slides like this. I'm horrible at creating slides. This was all her. I just created content. They're not my slides. Thank you. Some useful resources. If you ever download slides, you should look at these things. That was it. Any questions?